All right, let's talk about that feeling. You know the one I'm talking about, right? That feeling of being stuck. Like you know exactly where you want to go, but for some reason, you just can't seem to get there. Well, in this explainer, we're going to tackle that feeling head on. We're going to uncover a really powerful idea for closing the gap between who you are today and who you know you can become.
Wow. Just let that one sink in for a second. This single sentence completely reframes the whole problem, doesn't it? It's telling us the issue isn't just our strategy or our to-do list. Nope. The issue is a fundamental gap in our identity. It's not really about what you're doing, it's about who you're being.
So what is this internal conflict that's keeping us pinned in place? Let's break it down.
Okay, here's the core of the problem. Imagine this. You're trying to build a giant, shiny skyscraper, right? But you keep showing up to the job site with the blueprints and the toolkit for a small one-story house. Your future goals, that skyscraper, they require a totally new way of doing things. But we keep falling back on our old, comfy habits and then wonder why we're not getting any higher off the ground.
And this right here, this has a name. It's called the identity gap, and it's such a crucial idea to grasp. We're not talking about a skills gap or motivation gap. It's an identity gap. It's that very real space between your current self, with all its comfortable routines, and the future self who has already crushed the goal you're aiming for.
So let's look at this side by side. On the one hand, you've got your current self. This version of you runs on old beliefs. Things like, oh, I'm just not a morning person, or I'm terrible with money. It clings to those old habits. It feels safe, sure, but it's totally stuck. Then over here, you have your future self. This person is running on a whole new operating system. They've got new beliefs, they've built new habits, and they are fundamentally capable of achieving your goal. And that big space in the middle, well, that's it. That's the identity gap we've got to cross.
So the big question is, how do most of us try to cross this gap?
Well, that's where we make a huge mistake.
We just kind of hope for the best, right? We wish, we wait, we figure if we want something badly enough, we'll just sort of drift towards it over time. But here's the hard truth. Meaningful change is almost never an accident. It's not some gentle current that just carries you to a better place. You got to actually steer the ship.
So what's the alternative to drifting? You got to design it. You have to become the architect of your future self. It takes intention, it takes a plan, and it takes deliberate action. You don't just passively hope you become that person, you actively start building that new identity, one choice at a time.
Okay, so this all sounds great in theory, but how do we actually do it? This isn't just some nice idea, it's a super practical strategy.
Here it is. This is the secret sauce. You start acting like the future version of yourself right now, today. You don't close the identity gap by waiting until you feel ready, because you'll probably be waiting forever. You close it by thinking and making choices as if you are already that person. And look, this isn't about being fake. It's about being incredibly intentional.
And it all boils down to a really simple three-step process. First, you've got to define your goal with absolute clarity. Not just, I want to be healthier, but something like, I want to be the kind of person who has the energy to run a 5K. Second, you vividly imagine that person. What do they do when they wake up? What choices do they make? And third, and this is the real game changer, you do what they would do. Today, you make one choice that lines up with that future identity.
You see, this brings everything down to the present moment. The entire massive journey of transformation, it all begins with just one little choice you make right now.
So I'm going to leave you with this question. What is one tiny decision your future self would make without even thinking about it in the next hour? Would they go for that walk? Read one page of that book? Would they choose water instead of soda? Whatever it is, make that choice. Because that, right there, is how you start design.